Hey everybody, welcome back to another one of Crow's Greenfoot lessons. Today we're going to be creating a interactive calendar. And so here we have our calendar set up, and we'll make sure that we get the display done correctly, count the numbers off, and design that programmatically. And you can highlight certain days. Finals week, maybe you want to highlight in blue, maybe a holiday or two you want to make sure you cover in red, as well as we'll add in some other days, and we'll try to add in some input as well, so we can maybe set our own custom schedule and write out some of the things that we want displayed on our calendar. So I hope you guys enjoy. So first thing we're going to need to do is create an interactive calendar. So we have our world. We're going to increase the size a little bit. 700 by 600. Okay. So that's about the size of the screen. Perfect. First, we want to create a method that will draw our calendar. And I'm separating this out just to make sure that we're organized. And so the first thing we need to do when we draw the calendar is we're going to need to draw rows and columns. First thing we need to do is we need to create a Greenfoot image. And so just like we create our add objects in or add in a class, is if you declare what class you're coming from the Greenfoot image class, and we describe it as a column equals a new Greenfoot image. And so this is just like when we do, player equals new player. But instead of something from the player class, we're doing something from the Greenfoot class. And instead of calling it lowercase player, we're going to call it our column. And then we're going to do a new Greenfoot image. And so if we go into the API or our library where Greenfoot has stored other code, you will be able to see the different options we have for our constructor, because Greenfoot, open close parentheses like that, does not have its own constructor that has no args as the parameter. You are required to have a parameter. So if you go double click on your world superclass, you can go into the tree, and your tree has all of these classes that have pre-made constructors, pre-made methods and functions that you can use. And so the Greenfoot image requires a width and a height, or you can import a separate Greenfoot image, or you can do, which we will do for the title, string with a font size, a foreground and background color, so on and so forth. So we need to do a width and a height. So we're going to go 2 for our width and 600 for our height. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste. And we are going to do our rows, which will be the reverse. Not very tall, but very wide. We need to set the color for each of these. So now that we have declared the Greenfoot image has the opportunity to have a certain color. You can mirror it, you can scale it, rotate, draw something, fill something in. Okay, but first and foremost we need to set the color, and our color dot black for our column, and then rows, you could just copy and paste that, but dot black. So now that we have each of their colors set, we need to fill a rectangle of that size, and so our column will be 0, 0 is where we'll start the X and Y value, and we will end it at 1, 599, and copy, paste. We actually want rows to switch and be 599, 1. Okay, and so then we need to draw where we're going to have these at. And so if we just did get background, we could look at what get background dot, and we could, I believe it's draw an image, and so we could draw a given Greenfoot image. And so we've created a column and a rows. And I'm just going to call it row. I think that sounds a little bit better. Let's change these names. Here we go. Okay. And draw image. And so draw image needs an image. So we can just do a column and an X value. And we don't know our X values and our Y values quite yet. So I'm just going to throw it in a spot, make sure it lines up. Make sure my rows and my columns are different. So both my row and my column should show up. Okay, there's my column and there's my row. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so if I change this to 30, okay, this is where my column is. Okay, good. So it's got it set up right now. How are we going to set up multiple rows across? And we want it to set up like a calendar. So we need to have 6 lines in seven different spots. So we're going to have to do a for loop. For int I equals 0, I less than 6. I plus plus. Okay. And the X value is what's going to need to change. And so I times 100 plus 100. So that would move it over 100 at least. And then the first time through the loop, it would have to be 0 times 100 is 0, plus 100 is 100. Be my first X value. Second X value would have to be 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. And the size of my world is 700, so that actually works out pretty well. So it should be pretty darn good there. So that'd be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think is how I'm going to do it. Okay, excellent. So that's a pretty good way to start. Perfect. For int I, since I is declared inside of this loop, if I do Control-Shift-I and move this out, it will not exit this loop. Okay, so we can declare I again and it won't get confused. There won't be any issues with that. How many rows down? Well, I believe there's 5 weeks in a month, or 4.5, but at least more than 4, and no more than 5. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Split up, and we're already 100 down, I believe, on the Y value. Okay, so we're going to need to do I plus plus, and we're going to have I. Try the same thing, times 100 plus 100. Control-Shift-I. Okay. So the X value, it's pushed over too much. So we want it to start at 0 for our X value. Okay, so we want it all the way over here. Ooh, and it needs to stretch all the way to the wall. So we're going to have to change the size of our row from 599 to 700 and 699. Okay. Now we're cooking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we have our calendar set up. But it's too blank, too boring. Okay, so we might want to consider doing get background and just changing the color of our whole background. So first we could fill it, but we want to set the color first. Color dot, I think light gray is the color. Greenfoot color. Perfect. So that's set the color. Now we need to draw the color on here. And let's just see what happens if I drew it below the draw calendar. I think it would have a problem. Fill. I think it would cover up everything. Yeah, so you don't want to do that. So make sure that your get background is above draw calendar. Because we want to draw, you got to go in order on what is layered on top of what. So you want to make sure draw calendar is last. Okay. Now we have drawn our rows and columns. So I'm going to go ahead and enter, enter, enter. And ask to draw title of month. Okay, so we're going to need to do a new Greenfoot image, and this time equals new Greenfoot image, but it's going to be a different image constructor. So if you remember in the Greenfoot API, Greenfoot image, to get to it you go to tree, Greenfoot image, you double click on world, then tree, then Greenfoot image. You can go in and you can choose one of these, which any of these are the different constructor options. And so you can just get an image file, you could do a transparent background that we did, and then we filled in that transparent image, or we can create an image with a string as text and then use given font size and then a foreground and background color. But we're going to do this last one, which foreground, background, and an outline color. Just going to try it out. I don't know if I've ever used the actual outline color too. So we're going to have a string, and our string will say December. It's the month that's coming up. Font size, we'll start with, we'll go 100. Big time. Foreground color, color dot red. And then color dot green. Then color dot black for our outline. Okay, and then we will do the same thing how we did with the get background draw image for our lines. Draw image, title, location. The X value should be, normally you'd think it's right at the center, but this extends off to the right. So I think our X value will be like 120. Can't remember what I put here. And then not too far down. We'll see how that looks. Okay, so we're getting pretty close. We need to move it up a little bit more. And 120 could be 125. So I'll change 120 to 125. And I think we're just going to move it down to 10. I think I'm just going to move it to 0 for my Y value and see if that fills. Doesn't block anything off too bad. So if you want it to overlap and you want this to move up just a little more, you can either change the font size, which actually that's what I'm just going to do. Okay. Otherwise, you can always change this to false, and this my world. So we go to tree and we go to world. Your world constructor can have a bounded Boolean. So if you just added in false, 1 comma false, we could go outside the boundaries of the world. So that means we could go negative up for December. Okay, that font size screwed up my X and Y value. So now I'm going to change that again. Surprise, surprise, messing something else up. 140, and if it's close, I'm calling it good. Okay, you can change it again if you want to 150. 150, 0. Font size, I'm changing it to 90. All right, here we go. That's good. Yes. Okay, now I want to fill in the rest of this title area. And so I'm just going to create a rectangle. And since I'm not really going to use this rectangle, I'm just going to first set the color. And I'm going to set color dot green. And then I'm going to dot fill rectangle. And I can choose the location of this rectangle that I want. Now, when this is connected to an image, and I do column dot fill rectangle, it's filling the image's rectangle. So the image is 2 by 600 or 700 by 2. But here we're filling the backgrounds, a rectangle for the background. So 0, 0 will be the upper left corner of the background, all the way to 700 or 699, comma 100, which would be actually 99. See how that looks. Okay, looks like there's a little line there, so I'm going to make it 100. And obviously it covered December, so remember the order in which you plug these things in does matter. Ah, look at that. Okay, now we're really going. So we have December. We have all these boxes set up. Now we need to set up a loop that draws the numbers in. Draw the dates in corner. Okay, so in order to do this, we're going to need to create another loop, but it's actually going to be a nested loop. Days of week equals 0. Days of week less than 7. Days of week plus plus. Okay. Then we're going to create another loop that says int week equals 0. Week less than 5. Week plus plus. Okay, so we can do show text, and the text will be a number. And so the number needs to be some sort of count. Okay, and so if we create an int day count equals 0, then anything in draw calendar class will be able to access day count plus day count, comma, we can have day count equal 1 to start. Then we can do the x value should be which day of week it is times 100 plus 90, because we're going to start off close to this right edge, but we're going to move it over 10 pixels so it looks like it's in that upper left corner. And then week times 100 plus 110, and that is because week will be moved down just below this, and then we are going to have to have curly brackets. Don't forget those, because we're going to do more than one command in here, because we're going to need to have count plus plus, so that our count goes up after each day, each time through the loop, and so that we have all the days of the week and then all the weeks of the year. So weeks will be the y value. Hopefully this builds something that somewhat resembles. It's called day counts plus plus. Okay. Somewhat resembles. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, going down instead of going across. These should be switched. So this should be weak, weak, and weak, and I copied these, and paste, paste, paste. Okay, now there's not enough. So this inner loop should happen 7 times, and the outer loop should happen 5 times. So that was the real issue. It wasn't the variable necessarily. It was, but it was also the number of times. The inner loop's what is happening as we're going across. That's what's happening first. So that's why it was, when it was switched, it was first going down. We need it to first be going across. So that should be connected to the X value, and that should be the inner loop that happens more times, 7 times. Now, finally, we got it set up. All right. So we need to have if day count is less than 32. We will do this. Otherwise, we don't want them to be printed. Okay. Now we're finally going to add in some objects. And so we're going to add in a button. Okay, and our button will be able to be clicked. And when we click these buttons, they're going to be different colors. And they're going to be able to change the color of the day. Okay, and so first of all, we're going to need to create a constructor because this button is going to need to have properties to it, such as a color. So you're going to create a color that needs to be passed in. It also will need to be able to store this color. And we're going to set the color equal to color. So that once we have this color set, we can do get image, which we don't really have an image. We can see what we got here. We can fill a rectangle, 0 part of the image, 0 part of the image, and a width of 10, and a height of, let's say, 50. Now this will start off being not a very big image. Okay, now that we've created that, we can go into My World and add an object in. So I'm going to go ahead and create another add buttons. Okay, this is just for organization purposes. Add object, new button, color dot red, and we can go put it at 0, 0, so we can get it in. And actually, color dot red, and so that is our requirement, our parameter is that we have a color here, and then we'll locate it at 0, 0, and a semicolon, and then we have add buttons. And so way up in the left corner, we have a button that we can push. But let's put it at 20. It goes down, so make this a little bit larger. Okay, put it at 20, 20. Okay. Now, if you notice, if we we change the size of this to 20 by 20, it doesn't do anything, and it doesn't turn red quite yet. So we would need to get image dot set color first and foremost to the color that we added in. So that'll change it to red. We would have to get image dot, and actually I'm just going to scale it to 20 by 50, just so you guys can see the difference. And we can fill the rectangle to 50. I believe you could also do get image dot draw rectangle 20 by 50 and then fill it 20 by 50, and that would do the same thing. But now we have like a little bit of a more room to click on it, a little bit of a banner there. So adding these objects in is fine, but adding as a new color, but it's better practice to declare this as a variable and then just add in like red button. And so this will give us access to it in the entire world. And so we are going to do button red equals new button, and might as well not reinvent the wheel here. Copy and paste, and we'll do a copy, paste, paste, and we can do blue, yellow, okay. Then we can add object not only a random red button, but the specific red button that we're talking about up here. And we don't have to create a new yellow or blue button. We can just call the one that we created up top. Now the advantage of that is now we can specify these buttons if they're pressed, if they're so just what have you, and that'll allow us to more easily be able to do things in our code. And so we need to move the X value over to about by 30 to give them a little bit of space. That way they can be evenly spread, and we can click on them eventually and highlight our days of the week. Okay, now we need to create our days. And so our days are going to be the boxes that are all over. And if we click on them, they will highlight the code. So our days, we're going to need to create a constructor to make sure the size of our days are how we want it. So we are going to get image dot, we'll try draw rectangle, 0, 0, 100, 100. Okay, and then we're going to get image dot set color to black, and then we can do color dot black, and then we can do get image dot fill. Okay, then if we just test this and just let's put a comment here, background color, method calls, let's just do test, and we do add object new days 100, 100. See where that ends us. Okay, So the draw rectangle clearly didn't work. That draw rectangle isn't working for us, so we're just going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and scale the image like how we did it last time. I just wanted to try that out. Scale to 100, comma 100. And then now we have a box at 100, 100 that is scaled 100 by 100. So it clearly needs to be 50 close to the edge and 50 down. So if we were adding it to the world and we wanted it at 50, 150 probably, that would move it down to the left, perfectly fitting in that box. Okay, excellent. So let's go ahead and instead of adding in object there, we are going to go ahead and add in a blank days in each location right here. Add object, new days. Instead of at 150, or instead of at 50, we are going to do week times, this is the x value, days of week times 100 plus 50, week times 100, and we will also do plus 50. And we will see, let's say that days actually did have Control Z and did have it black. Okay, they need to be moved all down by 100. So that tells me this should be 150. And now they would be filled in black. Okay, that was just a test. So there are the numbers, and I'm going to remove them. But now, oh, there's green feet. Okay, so we're going to do get image dot clear. Try that. See what that does. Okay, so now the images are clear and transparent, so we cannot see them. But if we click on them, we eventually will be able to change them. Okay. So in order for these to change colors to what color I select, I'm going to need a way to be able to pass information from our button and store it while I'm in the world into our days. Okay, so how we're going to do that is we are going to pass information to both button and days that is the same class from your my world. So it'll be able to access, they will both be able to access a variable in our my world. And so that variable that we're going to be able to access, I'm just going to go ahead and put it all the way up at the top. And button declarations, but let's go ahead and say our current world color declaration. So our current color does not have a color, but it's just going to be called lowercase color. So now we have something ready to store color, but we need a way that we actually store it when we click. So our button needs to be able to have access to our my world, and we're going to say my world, and so we're going to say this dot world equals world, and that way we can access the color of our button and the color of our world color that we created in our my world, our world color. Okay, so we can simply do if Greenfoot.mouse clicked on this, whatever button we push. Okay, could be red, blue, yellow, doesn't matter. We are going to set our world dot color, so we can access our world class, and there's going to be an error, so just keep following along with me. Okay, so there's an error in our my world. So we need to, now that we've given button an extra parameter, we need to add it in when we add in our new buttons. So the world that we're going to be adding and giving each one of these is this world. So all you gotta do is put comma this. Now we go back into button. When we click whatever button we click, so whether it's the red, yellow, or blue, our world color will be equal to the color that we select. Okay, so if we click on red, now if we click on days, I want to have days also pass, be able to access our my world.color. Just like button set world.color equal to color, now I want days to be able to use world.color. So, in our days, our my world is equal to world, and our my world, and this dot world equals world. So, if Greenfoot dot mouse clicked this, we are going to get image dot set color equal to world dot color, and then we are going to get image dot fill rectangle 0 0 99 99. Let's see what that looks like. Probably should be 100 100. Okay, our my world is like, hey, days has been is added in, but it doesn't know what the art required my world. So this needs to also be added into new days because we added in on my world. So when we click, there's an error that pops up. Okay, but if we click on red and then we click here, fills it in. Blue, our color is blue, our world's color is blue. And yellow, our colors are yellow. Okay, so I actually liked having it at 100. So I'm going to put it at 100. 100. So we also want to say if there isn't a color for our world.color, we don't want it attempt to fill a rectangle. So if world.color does not equal nothing, so if it equals something, if we have a color. Okay, so that way when we run and we click, nothing happens because it doesn't have a color, but when we click and it has a color, we can add in the different colors on our map. Okay, next time we're going to add input to part 2 of this calendar creator, but I wanted to let you guys know that, you know, as fun as it is to create games, the more practical and the more common use of programming will be things like this. I mean, you could envision this as an app, or heck, you might already have an app that does things like this, where you can color coordinate dates, and you can, and eventually next time we're going to put input in and set different dates, as well as if you're able to connect it to a clock, sending out those reminders and things like that. So hope you guys enjoyed this interactive calendar on Crow's Greenfoot lessons.